Welcome back, everyone, to another special live episode of the Higher Ed Geek podcast here at the eduWeb Summit in Portland, Maine. This is our final episode that we're doing on site here. We'll still have some content coming out after the fact, so stay tuned for that. But this episode, I've known of Modern Campus, love what they do, so I wanted to grab somebody from the team that's here to talk specifically about their CMS platform. So we'll get to that, but we'll start as we always do. Eric, if you want to briefly introduce yourself, your role, in case people don't know, just say a little bit about what Modern Campus does.
Sure, absolutely. I appreciate it, Dustin. And I'm Eric Butler. I'm a senior account manager here at Modern Campus. So I oversee our content management system product. I've been here for about 5 years. Love the company. Love serving higher ed. A little bit about Modern Campus. We're a unique story in that we are sort of the merger of two starting companies, a CMS company and then a continuing ed company. That became Modern Campus, and from there went through an acquisition phase over the next couple of years, acquired everything from a text messaging company to a credit catalog company to a student engagement tracking company to a campus map and virtual tour company, and then ended with another continuing education company. So overall that time we have really grown into ourselves quite a bit. We only serve higher education, and so I always say the needs and requirements that institutions are facing every day are the problems we're trying to solve.
Yeah, and that's why, because the very interesting story is how I kind of learned about you, because I was like grabbing a lot of headlines and I knew some of like the companies that were being acquired. I'm like, who is this person? I got to learn more about them.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have a kind of amazing portfolio of products, and speaking specifically about content management and stuff here. So I'm curious, just with any interactions that you've had here at eduWeb, like noteworthy sessions or people that you've talked to, or just trends you're kind of hearing and seeing here. Any reflections on the event as we're kind of wrapping up day 2?
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a lot of great presentations and keynotes around AI, personalization. How do you meet the current demographics? And as we know, there's lots of them, and they all have individual needs and requirements. I ran this presentation today with the University of Montana. Shout out to Stephanie Geyer and Halda.ai. Shout out to Jackson. Really focusing in on why schools are personalizing. What are the outcomes? What does that mean? And so within our CMS, we actually have built a personalization engine. And so we've unfolded it in a 2-part. One, what we considered unknown personalization, using first-party cookies to track user behavior and personalize the experience based on what their interactions have been. And then we go into a more robust, what we call known contact personalization, where we can actually tie into back-end data systems, be it a school CRM, SIS, or even just an Excel sheet that they've collected that has student information that we can then absorb and use to create even more depth personalized experiences for these students. So it's been great to see how AI plays into things, how personalization is really a key for all parties here at eduWeb, and it's always fun to be in a company that's kind of serving those needs.
Yeah, and I think, the personalization, I think is the outcome that like AI is helping to like empower, and just seeing kind of how everything is sort of, kind of cohesively connected. We've done a few episodes already, with folks like Halda, and I think, it's just really exciting to see. I think, I guess there's like a variety of paths, but even just sort of the the integration, like you're saying, of just the data points that you can kind of utilize to create the more personalized experiences on a website, and then even just and I guess I'm just riffing on my own reflections here, but the idea of how the website, the humble website is still kind of the core kind of, thing that's going to feed, AI overviews and search engines, but also be, a place where, students going to go and hopefully is getting a really personalized experience and stuff like that. So I think there's just a lot swirling certainly in my head, but I'll kind of keep following your lead here and kind of build off that personalization piece. So I don't know kind of what the evolution there has been, that the personalization engine, if you want to speak more to sort of, how that's come to be, any other sort of interesting kind of anecdotes or kind of use cases that you've seen that you maybe want to highlight. But, that's just one big piece of what I wanted to talk with you about. Then also sort of the, the back end, like how things are kind of getting more user friendly for people to sort of manage these platforms. But we'll start and stay with the student side. So if you want to speak more to that personalization piece and how that's kind of evolved from as much as I guess if you're aware of it.
Really, personalization is not a new concept. It's been around for a while. Schools have been doing it in many different facets. Everything down to self-selection by students, guided pathways to get students to more curated content faster, all the way now to what we consider dynamic content, where we're actually using trigger events to dynamically swap out content on a page. And where we really see this growing into is the more that schools adopt this mentality, the more the entire website's going to become dynamic in nature. And so you no longer fall into a singular site. I always talk about this concept of a 100-story building need to be built into a 2-story model, but you have to contain all the information still. And the only way to really accomplish that is to be able to swap out the rooms of that building depending on who's in the building at any given time. You still maintain all the content, but you have a more streamlined presentation ultimately. Easier to find the content. And so we really believe in that idea. And the more we're able to collect data on students, the more they build those into the workflows, work backwards and capture the data that they need to dynamically trigger against within the forms, is sort of the evolution of where we're going. So it's really exciting. And then to speak to your point about sort of the back end, that low code, user friendly model that Modern Campus's CMS has really been built upon from the start is the idea that many institutions will have a few web editors or marketing personnel, and sometimes quite a significant amount of content editors, and they're vastly different in their skill set. And so we've allowed those end users who are not technical to be able to go in at a low code effort. Basically, if you can edit a Word doc, you can edit the CMS, and allow them to be constrained by guardrails to not mess things up, stay within the brand, and get their job done. But then also on the back end, being open enough, having complete open AIs, not being tied to any specific coding language. We're agnostic. We really give the freedom back to those developers to also go as far as they want. Sometimes to the point where they'll come back and say, look what we did. And I'm like, I never knew that was possible. And it's very exciting to see their excitement using the tools that we've given them.
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful thing, that sort of balance of easy to use and then rewarding the sort of mastery, the idea. So, if you wholeheartedly embrace this, you can do some pretty amazing things, but super easy to just kind of very
you
approachable.
You can give it to your daughter and she could do it also.
Right. And I think that's a great thing, is I think, that idea of things getting bottlenecked where it's there's the one guy who can edit the website and he's got a backlog of whatever. It's that we're at a moment now where I think tools are sort of embracing this sort of notion that it's if we can have, more people able to even just do those quick fixes and kind of help to chip in to, achieve that goal of that idea of if we're going to personalize, we need to kind of know where people are sort of going through. It's that's, many hands makes light work, it's going to take
Absolutely.
a lot, to kind of get there. So I think, it's just a great sort of paradigm and sort of culture that I would hope a lot of teams aspire towards of freeing up and kind of expanding the kind of, folks that you have that are able to contribute to getting towards a more personalized, end user experience and everything. So we'll wrap up though, just with advice that you have for other higher ed leaders right now. I think, just as, because I think why I like ending on this is we're just in a crazy moment. It's very turbulent. It's very ambiguous, and all that. So I think, trying to kind of find those sort of guiding lights, the North Stars, the, things to kind of help inform our work and kind of keep driving us forward. Any advice that you would give to other higher ed leaders right now?
That's a really great question. And while there's lots of things bouncing around in my head, the one thing I can really think about is even when things seem overwhelming, I know there's people that have big hills to climb. I encourage you all to just start small. A lot of what we're seeing in the industry right now, it's not taking much. If you're doing a little bit and dipping your toe in, there's lots of return on that investment. So being willing to then put your foot in or more, but start small, build the use case, show it to others around campus, let them get involved, build the buy-in. But if you're not being willing to go into those, even at a small level, the world will pass us by very quickly right now.
Yeah, I think it is a mantra that I repeat. My advice is start somewhere, and the idea of wherever the fertile ground is, that if you can kind of get inroads for things like this of if it is the idea that you're maybe kind of wanting to kind of make a kind of cultural paradigm shift of okay, I know things were done this way, maybe very bottlenecked content management. We need to kind of do this, and this is why we're going to kind of help shepherd people through that. Because I think like through line with a lot of our conversations for these episodes on site have been like trying to like demystify, take these opportunities to kind of start somewhere with how you're kind of ingratiating people to like maybe AI specifically, or just kind of that change management is just going to be always something that we grapple with, and kind of empathizing with how people are needing to sort of adapt to this moment where you're maybe trying to do more with less or do less with more, and that's all shaking things up and changing it. So I think just appreciating kind of just the mentality and sort of the philosophy that you all approach this work, specifically even just with your CMS, but like I think just holistically, I've just kind of been an admirer of you all for a while, and I appreciate
thank you.
You all being here and you being willing to kind of share a little bit more about what you all are doing kind of in the CMS space here, and ways to connect with you and Modern Campus in the show notes for this episode. But just great to just give folks a snapshot of you all and kind of a taste of the event here. So appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, Dustin. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.